Hey everyone, this is David, and I'm going to show you how to collaborate on different musical projects using GarageBand today. It's a pretty simple process. There's only a couple of steps that you're going to need to do in order to put these tracks together. And once you've got that down, it's pretty easy to make pretty much any piece of music you want to make within a few minutes of just simple editing. So I'm going to go through some basic steps today, and then after that, you can go try it on your own. You're going to need a few things in order for this to work. The first is you're going to need GarageBand. If you're working in a group of people, you're going to have at least one person with an iPhone. If somebody doesn't have an iPhone, it's going to be really hard to edit in any other program. So I would recommend finding someone with an iPhone or a Mac computer so that they can download this app and actively use it. The other thing you're going to want is a pair of headphones with a microphone. If you have an iPhone, there's probably a good chance you have a pair of earbuds that goes right along with it. The earbuds that come right in the box are a good solution. I have my own wireless headphones that I use, but basically any pair of headphones with a microphone that you can plug straight into your phone is going to be extremely helpful in making sure that you can create practice tracks and send them out to your friends. So the first thing I'm going to show you how to do is to operate GarageBand, do some basic things with it. And then after that, you can go forward and compile some stuff together, and I'll show you how to do that as well. So what you're seeing right here is what you're probably going to see when you open GarageBand for the first time. I've already made some songs, so you can see those 3 songs right there. But I'm going to create a new song for the sake of this video, and I'll go back and do the other project I worked on last week and show you how to do some of that. So you're going to tap Create Song. And the first thing that's going to come up is audio recorder. Just go ahead and click that and you should be good to go. So once you've gotten this, I'm just going to click OK. This is your basic recording studio. This is where you are actually going to record tracks and send them to other people. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to get into the main interface where you're going to be editing all of this is to click this button right here that's I've just kind of grayed out. What this button does is it brings you here, which is where you can compile all of your tracks together. So there's that. I'm going to show you how to operate this using some pretty basic functions. And the first thing you're going to want to do when you get in here is you're going to want to analyze the piece of music that you're thinking about doing. So say, for example, you're in a group of students together and you want to perform a harmonized version of You've Got a Friend in Me. You're going to want to gather some very basic info about the piece. You're going to want to get its key signature. You're going to want to get its time signature. And the third thing you're going to want to get is its tempo. The tempo is kind of going to be up in the air, but I would recommend getting as close to possible as what you actually want to sing, because you're going to need to create this thing called the click track. So the first thing you're going to want to do when you get into this interface is click the settings bar. You're going to change the tempo to what the tempo of the piece is. This is in BPM. So I'm in this tempo section. I literally just looked up You've Got a Friend in Me tempo. It's as simple as that. You should be able to find the tempo just by doing that, just by putting in that Google search. So the tempo that I found is 100 BPM, and I'm going to go right here to 100. Done. Second thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to input a time signature. It only gives you 3 options for time signatures. I'm guessing this will cover most of what you guys are doing, 4, 4, 3, 4, and 6, 8. If you're doing something outside of that time signature, I would probably recommend choosing a different piece. But just for now, because You've Got a Friend in Me is in 4, 4, I'm going to go with 4, 4. And lastly, the next thing you're going to want to do is also pick a key signature as well. You might not end up using this feature, but it's good to have just in case you do. I got a key signature of D major, so I'm going to click D major. You can also switch to minor if you want. So yeah, that's what you're going to want to do. And last off, that's pretty much it. The next thing you're going to want to do is create a Google Drive. So the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to create a custom Google Drive that you can use to share with other people and put your pieces of music inside of. So I'm just going to click plus here. I'm going to click my folder. We're going to call it music tutorial. We're going to create that. And now you should be able to share this with a couple of other people. So once you have the Google Drive app, you can go share like that. You can share it with your contacts. You can type in their emails. I'm just going to invite my other email real quick. So now other people can share and edit in this folder. You're going to want to make 2 subfolders inside of this, and this is just for organizational purposes. These folders, I would call them practice tracks. And I would also make a folder for submissions. And once you have those 2 things, pretty much anybody can dump their submissions in here as well as listen to the practice tracks. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to find a recording of what you're singing along to, and this is just going to be your reference recording. So, like I said, I was singing along to You've Got a Friend in Me, and you're basically going to download this file quickly. So you're going to click on the You've Got a Friend in Me file. You don't actually need to listen to it. You're going to click Share, and you're going to copy that link. Once you've done that, you're going to go into your browser, and you're going to search up YouTube to MP3 converter. You're going to click on that. It should be your first option. You're going to make sure MP3 is selected, not MP4. You're going to paste your submission. You're going to convert it. And once it's done, you can click the download button. If you get opened up into another browser tab, you can just go ahead and close that up and go back to this one. When it's done downloading, you're going to notice that it's saved here as an MP3. Basically, it's saved to your iCloud drive, and I'll show you in a second how to access that. So now that we're back in GarageBand, we can import it into GarageBand. So before we import the song, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add some bars, because the song is obviously going to probably be longer than 8 bars. You're going to click this little plus icon, and you're going to click automatic, and then you're going to click done. Now you can click this button right here, this little loop button. You're going to click Browse Items from the Files app. It might come under here or here for you, but you're going to basically click Browse Items from the Files app. You're going to go into Download, and now you can click that to import your song. Toy Story, You've Got a Friend in Me. What you're going to do to import it into your larger track is you're going to press it and you're going to hold it. And you're just going to drag it over here. Notice how I made it automatic. If I hadn't clicked that automatic setting earlier, it would have stopped me at 8 bars. But now we're at the length of the song. Once we have this imported in here, we're going to use it as a reference for recording. This is where you're going to want to plug in your headphones. The first thing that we're going to want to do, though, is we're going to want to make sure it syncs up with the metronome. So we can click play, and we're going to have our metronome on. So we can see that the metronome's a bit slow. Now you can begin to mess with the tempo a little bit. So let's go up to 110 and see if that works a little better. Not quite. You can trim your clip by holding onto your clip like this and just trimming it. So I would go right to where it's about to start, and then you can hold on to it and drag it back to the beginning. And you're just going to want to mess around with this until you get a tempo that works. So as you can see, after messing around for a bit, moving the track around and moving the metronome around, I've come up with a pretty good speed. So now when I play it, you'll notice the metronome is synced up with the music. So the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to start to create your practice tracks. You're basically creating these practice tracks so that the people that you're recording with understand what they're singing and also understand when they're singing. You want to make sure that the recordings you're getting from your fellow peers properly sync up with what you're trying to do. So the way you're going to do that is if you want to create a practice track of yourself singing over so that they know what you're supposed to be singing, you're going to single tap the microphone icon on the left corner of the screen. Once I do that, you're going to notice an option that says duplicate. You're going to click on that. Now you've essentially duplicated this line. It hasn't included the audio, but now you basically have this free space to record whatever you need to record. Now, you're going to press the red record button, and now you can record. So this is, you're going to preferably have headphones in while you're doing this. You've got a friend in me. So now that I've recorded that one line, I can go back in here and I can listen to it. And we'll just go to the You've Got a Friend in Me and see how well it syncs up. Now that I've recorded this audio, this is basically my practice track. So when you're recording this, you're going to want to have headphones in. The reason you're going to want to have headphones in is because you're going to want to sing in tempo and in tune with the song that you're listening to. So in this case, for me, it's You've Got a Friend in Me. So pretend that when I'm recording, I'm wearing headphones and I'm hitting that record button. That way, the sound from what's happening in GarageBand is still going into my ears, but what's actually recording that is not picking it up. So after that, you have your practice track. It comes along with the metronome. That way, when you send it to all your friends, they're going to be able to sing along with it. Once you've finished recording your practice track and are ready to share it with your friends, you're going to click this little down arrow in the top left corner. You're going to go to My Songs. You're going to hold in the song that you want to export. You're going to click Share. You're going to click Song. And once you get to this section, you're going to scroll all the way down and select Uncompressed WAV. This is the only type of file that's going to work. Then hit Share. Once you've hit Share, you're going to scroll over to where it says Google Drive. You're going to click your Google Drive. You're going to click My Drive. You're going to find that folder. So for me, it's Music Tutorial. You're going to click Practice Tracks, and you're going to save it here. Then you're going to hit Upload. So when you are telling your friends how to record, what to tell them is to grab a computer and their phone. Using their school computer, they're going to log onto the Google Drive, which we've just created. They're going to plug in a pair of headphones, and they're going to plug it into their computer. And from there, they're going to be able to listen to the song that you just recorded. That way they can sing along with it. They can sing along with the practice track and understand what they're doing. They're going to then use their phone to record it. They can do this either using GarageBand or the simple audio memos. Then once they are done with that, they are going to upload that, similar to how you just did, that recording to the Google Drive. As long as they can upload an MP3 of any style to the Google Drive, you should be able to access all of those when making your song. The next step is going to be to compile all of your friends' submissions into a single song, and then from there be able to edit that song. So what you're going to do is similar to how you did last time. Just pretend that it's only the track you were working with in your song. You're going to hit the microphone button and click Duplicate. Once you've done that, you're going to go back into your Google Drive. You're going to click into your submissions folder. I'm just going to go in the practice tracks, pretend this is a submissions folder. And as you can see, you have these WAV files that were your submissions from other people. You're going to then click these three little dots. You're going to click Open In. And you're going to click Save to Files. My recommendation, it's going to direct you to your iCloud Drive. Click iCloud Drive and click Downloads because you've accessed that folder before using GarageBand. Then once you're done with that, click Save. I've already saved it once over, so it's not going to give you this message. It should just save onto that folder. Then, once you're back in GarageBand, you're able to easily access this file. You're going to click on that microphone setting that you had before and make sure you've selected the right track. You're going to click the little loop button, browse items from the Files app. You're going to go into that Downloads folder from earlier, and boom, there it is, My Song 3 and My Song 4 as well. You can import that file similar to how we did before. Go ahead and click on it. It should show up in here. You can drag and you can drop that file, boom, right into your recording. Now you have all of these tracks to edit. So pretend that you've gotten all of your friends' submissions into a single song. Now, how do you go about editing and compiling them together? My first recommendation would be to take the original song you were working with that you downloaded off of YouTube and to mute all other tracks except for that. The way you mute a track is you click this equalizer button, and you can go down and mute track by track. So in this case, I'm going to click mute this track, and I'm going to mute this track as well. All except our main track. I can now play all of the tracks by hitting play. I can now select any track I want, pretend this is the main track, and I can play that.
Come, all you young fellows who follow the sea.
So that's the song that you've just used to base your practice track off of. Now, you can add any other track you want, so we'll start one track at a time. And using some very simple editing tools, you can line them up. When you put them in, they're probably going to be scattered somewhat like this. So now you can move your tracks around by simply tapping on it and dragging it back and forth. And you can line them up so that they are exactly aligned. You can move track to track and do this. I would only recommend doing one track at a time because if you try to do all of them at once, you're most likely going to be bombarded with random sounds. I can move this so it's lined up. I'm also able to shrink the clip like this or expand it. That's basically just trimming it. And then once you've done that, and I'll just pretend I've done 3, you can click play and listen to how it is.
Come, all you young fellows who follow the sea.
Way, hey, blow the man down.
And pray pay attention and listen to me.
Give me some time to blow the man down.
I'm a
So basically, I've just spent about 15 minutes of my own time lining them up. What I've been doing is I've been trimming them. There's different effects that you can add. You can use this compressor. This is what Andrew Gerace recommended I used. You can compress audio files. And basically what this is doing, you can just mess around with how it sounds. What it's basically doing is it's eliminating high-pitched noises. You can also work on some reverb and echo if you know how to use that. If there's too much treble in the recording, you can tune that down. If there's too much bass, you can tune that up or down as well. It's all really going to depend on how each recording sounds. Once you've done that, you can pretty much call it a day and say that you've completed your song. Now, the last thing to do is to export it so you can submit it to Canvas for Mrs. Ricci. You're going to do that by uploading it to the Google Drive, similar to how we did earlier. So you can click on this little exit button right here. You can find your song. You can share it as a WAV file. You can go to the Google Drive, and you can upload it to that same folder. Hey everyone, I'm back here on my computer and I'm going to show you a couple of different ways you can submit your recording to Canvas. So the first way I'm going to show you is by uploading it to YouTube, and the second way I'm going to show you is by just submitting it as a file to Canvas. So we're going to start by opening up the Canvas discussion thread. Okay, so we're on our discussion thread, and when we hit reply, obviously you have to reply to these 4 questions first. But when you're ready to attach your file, there's a couple of ways to go about it. You're going to want to go into your Google Drive, and we're just going to go into our practice tracks here, and we'll pretend that this is our finished version of the song. I'm sure that you'll have a different file name for it other than My Song 3. You're going to right-click that, and you're going to download it. Once it's finished downloading, you're going to get it onto your desktop. This is how I like to do it the best. I'm just going to drag this over here. You're going to click Show in Folder. Then from there, you can just drag it onto your desktop. So now, when we go back into the discussion thread, you can click Attach. There's actually a whole way to do it down here, but this would be just my recommendation, is just to click that Attach button. You're going to click Choose File. You can go to your desktop, and we got My Song 3 right here. Then you can click Open. So that's one way to do it. I believe my mom will know how to... should be able to just play the WAV file on her computer, so that should be fine. But if you're more comfortable and would like to upload either a video of any sorts, or in the case of this GarageBand project, a GarageBand project to YouTube, this is how you're going to do it. This is a WAV file, so it's kind of like an iTunes exclusive file. So in order to get it onto YouTube, it has to be an MP4 file. So I just looked up WAV to MP4. I've had a lot of luck with this converter, zamzar.com. I would just click on that. You're going to add files. You should just be able to grab that file from your desktop. My Song 3. And you're going to click Convert Now. It's going to begin to upload, and then when it's done, you can just grab it and drag it onto your desktop. Alright, so now that it's finished converting, you're just going to click the download button right here. And similar to how you did before, you're going to click Show in Folder, and you're going to just drag that onto your desktop. What this has done is it's basically taken your song, put a black background to it so it appears as a video, and now whenever you plug it into YouTube and watch that video, it's just going to have a plain background with your song playing in the back. So now as we go to YouTube, and you're logged into your account here, you're going to click the Create a Video and More. You're going to upload video. And it's going to bring you into YouTube Studio. Now you have two options. You can either A, select file from your desktop, and just make sure when you click the My Song 3 that it's the MP4, not the MP3. Or even easier, you can just drag it over. And boom, it'll upload just like that. So now you have to do a couple more things. When you're uploading a YouTube video, there's a couple of settings that you're going to want to do that makes it extremely easy for my mom to access. Give it a title, so My Song 3. So we gave it the title of My Song 3. You can give a description if you want. I wouldn't mess with any of these. You can give it a thumbnail if you want. But this is the important step. When it says audience at the bottom, is this video made for kids? You want to specifically click, no, it's not made for kids. If you click it's made for kids, it's probably going to be harder for my mom to access, especially if you're trying to embed it into Canvas. So click the no, it's not made for kids option. This isn't going to do anything to your video. It's just going to appear as a regular video on YouTube. Then click next. Don't worry about the screen. You can go ahead and click next. And this is the important part right here. If you want to make a public video, as in anybody can search your video up on YouTube by your title and watch it, go ahead and click public. If you want to make an unlisted video, which basically means if you put the link into Canvas, anybody with that link is able to access it, but if you don't have that link, you're not going to be able to watch the video. This is the option that I would recommend. Click unlisted. I would recommend probably not doing private because it's harder to share that, but what I would ultimately recommend is just going, if you want to go private, you can if you know how to use that, but if you want to remain private but make it easy to access for Mrs. Ricci, click unlisted. Do not mess with schedule. That's going to basically put a schedule on when it gets posted. I would just click save, and that's going to immediately upload to your YouTube channel. And now it's going to begin to process. What I would recommend doing is I've found it extraordinarily hard to process using the school accounts, which is why this attempt failed earlier. So I would actually recommend processing using your own personal YouTube account. Do not try to upload a video using your school account. Use your own personal YouTube account. It's going to be much easier. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. You can contact me at my phone number. Just feel free to call or text anytime. It's 440-636-2462. If you want to go ahead and shoot me an email, my email is 21ricdav. I hope this helps. Just feel free to let me know if you have any questions, and I look forward to seeing what really cool projects you guys make. Thanks.